Hi, so Katrina of the future. I realized that I never edited this vlog. I took these clips way like before Christmas, so like 2 months ago. Um, but it's mostly just like kind of like a lifestyle reading vlog. It has some of my thoughts as I go through reading a couple books, and then I think there's a couple clips of like washing the dishes and my nighttime routine and that kind of stuff. So we'll see how you guys feel about it if anybody watches it, and otherwise it'll just be a long vlog that's up there forever. Hi, so I am reading Children of Time. I wanted to check it out and see how I felt about it. Broken Binding is doing a reprint special editions of the trilogy, and so I have heard a lot about it. I know Books with Emily Fox. She loves this, particularly this first book, but this series, and then I've heard other people talk about it too, so I wanted to check it out and see if I liked it. The special editions look pretty cool, so I might splurge for it if I like it a lot, but I wanted to check out the first book first, so I just got this from my library. I'll read at least some of it and see if I like it or not before I spend the money on it. But this book, it is about, it's a sci-fi, first of all, but it starts out as the Earth is being killed off, pretty much the global warming is going bad, and so they're trying to terraform a new world, and so a ship goes off and they're terraforming it, and then there's some factions on Earth that don't like it, and so they're all sorry, I was just listening to my monitor, my kids are sleeping. And so the factions are fighting over whether or not we should terraform a new Earth. The scientist who set it all up is going to actually use monkeys, primates, as the new people on this new planet, and they've created a new virus that will create mock evolution for it, so the primates will evolve and turn into hopefully a new species of people, and then that will make it ready for people, maybe? I don't know. But things go wrong, and instead the virus is released, but all the primates die, and it seems like spiders are now evolving instead, so I'm guessing people will arrive on the planet and there'll be a new spider species that's super smart and huge and scary. I'm only not too far into it, 50 pages in out of like 600, so I don't know much yet. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'll be reading this book, and my other book that I'm reading right now is Fountains of Silence, but I'll give you an update on that one at a different time because I just started that one too. But yeah, that's the start. Hey there, sorry about the unflattering lighting here. It's like 10:15, 10:30 or something like that. I'm just going to finish up reading in bed just for a little bit before I go to sleep. I honestly don't remember what book I was reading last time I did a video vlog update, but I am probably 100-ish pages into Stardust Thief is what I decided to start next by Chelsea Abdullah. And so this one
is actually I think it's a retelling of the Arabian Nights, the 40 Thieves. It has jinn in it. Pretty much the main character, her family was killed, her tribe was killed by jinn, I believe, when she was a little girl, and then a different jinn saved her. And she has taken on a persona of the Midnight Merchant, and she goes back to the city she lives in, and she sells magical, mystical objects that have been imbued with jinn's power. And she also sells jinn blood, which gives life. It heals wounds, and it makes plants and things grow. So that's what she's been doing since her parents were killed, and now she has just been discovered by the Sultan, and he has sent her out to hunt down a magical lamp with a jinn inside. So it's kind of like the Aladdin crossover as well. And so they're about to go on their quest right now. It actually kind of reminds me of, I'm wondering if they're just based off of common or myths. It reminds me of the Dawn and the Dagger, maybe? I'm trying to think of, by Renee Ahdieh, I think it is. But it reminds me of that, and it mentions in here that the father, he murdered a bunch of his wives before the main character. He married the main character's mom, and I'm wondering if that's the same myth that they're talking about, that it's the same king who had to keep killing all of his wives. So that's kind of interesting, but we'll see. I might look that up and see. I'm kind of curious, but so far it's really good. I like this one better than the Renee Ahdieh book, actually, which is kind of surprising. I think I've heard of both of them actually from Shoshana. Bookish Shoshana, I think it is. Shoshana something, her channel. And she loved Renee Ahdieh's book. It's one of her favorite series, and she was just about this one, and I actually like this one so much more. So far, at least, the characters aren't as annoying to me. But yeah, we'll see how it goes from here, and I'll see you next time. Hi there. So I have the boys down for the night. Blake is actually having a long work day. So it was a long day, but they're finally all down, and now I washed my face and got my pajamas, and now I'm ready to do some reading. I got my Christmas tree on, ambiance over here. Got the lights on, the big tree downstairs. The fire's kind of dying out, but it's on down there. And so I'm going to read a little bit more of The Stardust Thief. I read a little bit during nap time. I think I'm on, what am I on now? Page 192. I read maybe like 15 pages before bed last night, but then I got tired. So I read a little bit more during nap time, and I am really enjoying it. The characters are interesting. I for sure like them more than the other book that I was talking about yesterday. I don't know if it's a fair comparison, but I feel like they're using the same myths, so I'm gonna do it. The main character, she's definitely she's been on her own whole life. She has a little bit of an independent chip on her shoulder. She doesn't want anybody else's help, and she feels she needs to do everything on her own. Right now they're traveling. It's the main character and her bodyguard slash djinn friend, and then the High Prince is what she believes he is, but it's actually, and then one of the 40 thieves that the High Prince is in charge of. She's one of the few women thieves. And so that's kind of an interesting dynamic between the two, because they're both very strong, independent women who don't like each other from the outset, just because one of them is friends with the djinn. It's her only friend and pretty much her found family. And then the other one, her job is to hunt down and kill djinn. That's what the 40 thieves do. That's their occupation, is hunting djinn and killing them. And so they're very similar personalities, but they are very different at the same time. They are on kind of a quest type thing right now. They're trying to find the lost djinn city to find a relic for the king, and now they're encountering different trials along the way type thing. They have to stop at a couple different cities to get there, and they've already found one other hidden relic that caused them some difficulties. So yeah, I like it a lot. I'm guessing there's going to be a slight romance aspect to this. We'll see where it goes from here, but I think it's a series, so it could be a slow burn or change up a little bit in the future, because there's kind of like a couple options that she could end up going with. So yeah, so I'll update you maybe later tonight, or else next time I pick up the book. Bye. So since yesterday, I have been working on 2 books, the Stardust Thief and the Maid by Nita Prose. The Stardust Thief, I read some more, a little over halfway through, but it's definitely evolving. I really like the relationship that they're building between the main character and her djinn friend. It's very much, it's both a friendship and like a father-daughter type relationship. She's trusted him completely pretty much, and something came up that she no longer trusted him, and she's trying to come to terms with that and everything. And then it also brought in like a former love interest, current love interest, kind of ambiguous thing, and a whole bunch went down with that. And so I'm interested to see where it goes from there. I don't know. I don't have high hopes for that. I don't know. I get bad feelings about that, the ending of that relationship. But we'll see where that goes. There's a couple guys that I could see the author turning into the next relationship for her, so we'll see where that ends up. But I'm still enjoying the book. I did take a break from it during nap time today. I read a little bit of The Maid, which I had started a couple days ago, and I wasn't loving, and so I took a little break, and that's when I started Stardust Thief. But today I decided to go back and try it again, and it's just not for me. I think the main character is neurodivergent. I think she's supposed to have some kind of autism on the spectrum. She's very high functioning. She holds her job and she takes care of her finances, and she does great. But she does have the social cues. It says that in the beginning. She knows she's bad at social cues. but I just feel bad for her. I'm sure the author meant to do this, but it seems like every person in her life is taking advantage of her, and she doesn't realize it. I think you're supposed to see that. You're supposed to see that everybody in her life is taking advantage of her, and they're not good people, and she can't see that. It makes me cringe, kind of. Her gran was a great grandmother. She raised her well. She always tried to teach her how to interact, and she was the happiness in her life, but she passed. It says that in the beginning of the book, that her gran passed away a few months ago. And then what's he called? The doorman at the hotel was a friend of her gran's, and he's a good guy, but it seems like everybody else in the hotel, on the manager, he's also good, but it seems like everybody else doesn't have her best interest. It kind of seems like they're all using her. And she's just trying to be friends with all of them and solve this murder of this man who is also a bad man. So we'll see. As of right now, it's not going to get a great rating for me. It seems like a lot of people liked it, but it's just not my thing. But I'll probably just finish it just to see where it goes. But yeah, it's too bad. Hi. So it is the next night. It's Sunday night. Maybe it's 2 nights. Yeah, it's 2 nights. But it is Sunday night. I did a little bit more reading today. I don't know if I did any reading on Saturday. It's been a long weekend. But I read a little bit more of the Maid today. I'm still not loving it. I'm over halfway through now. The bigger part is what I'm done with. We've definitely gotten through the main, like the bulk of the story that they want you to get through. We're to the point where the girl has to figure out what to do next, and I think some of her friends are more coming into light for her. Maybe. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes. But I still I feel bad for her. I'm sure by the end of the conclusion it'll be she learns from it. She learns who to trust and who not to trust type thing, but I don't know. It's just not my favorite book. It just makes me feel bad. At this point, it's probably a 2-star read. Maybe I'll bump it up to a 3 if it finishes great and they wrap it up and I feel better about it, but as of right now, it's unfortunately just 2 stars. And then the Stardust Thief, I can't remember. I think I read a little bit more yesterday. I'm sorry. I think I read a little bit more yesterday. They definitely are progressing things. I did not see. Oh, here's the book. If you don't remember, Stardust Thief. They went somewhere I wasn't expecting, but I'm not all that surprised. I still like the character work they're doing. I like the interactions that are going on between the main characters. The other thief I was telling you about, what's her name? I think it's Binlaus. I don't remember her first name, but one of the 40 thieves that's traveling with them. She's definitely kind of opening up more. She's showing her what happened to her, and she's being more open to her. They're not friends, but the two that she's traveling with, the prince and the merchant. And so I think that is helping the situation a lot. I can definitely see. I'm sorry. I'm tired, apparently. I can definitely see how this is going to be a series. I think I'm over. Oh, yeah. I would say I'm probably 2/3 the way through this one. And I can't see it wrapping up anytime soon. but I will definitely be picking up the second one. I think the second one is coming out soon, or might already be out, or maybe next month. I don't know. It's coming out soon. I know. So I'll probably pick that one up. I'm excited for that. Although I tend to say I'm going to pick things up right away, and then I don't read the second book or the next book in the series. I have, I think, at least 3 that I can think of next books in the series that I got almost right away, and I never actually read next because I have so many other books on the TBR that I get to first. But yeah, I will get reading this one again. Stardust Thief, I'm thinking is probably a 4-ish star. 4.5 rounded down to 4. It's not a perfect book. It's not a new all-time favorite, but I do really like the series a lot. I like this kind of story. Jinn are always interesting. Middle Eastern myths. I always like that kind of thing. So yeah. I also am excited. I've been ordering a few Kickstarter books. So those updates keep coming through. And so I'm excited to get all those in. I think one of them I think is supposed to come in by the end of the year. They'll all be closed, I think, by the time this video premieres. But I got one for, I think it's pronounced Jólabókaflóð. It's Icelandic and Finnish tradition where you give books on Christmas Eve and you spend the evening reading them, which is great for me and my brother-in-law. Kind of, they're not married, but thinks it's also a great idea. So I got him and me. Kind of overpriced, but really awesome book. So, and then I got everybody else books too that kind of are suited towards them. I don't think they'll read them that evening, but I'm excited about that. Then I got a few other fantasy books. Although one of them is more historical fiction. It's about Vikings, kind of like a historical fiction Viking story. There are a couple fantasy books series, so we'll see when those come in, but I'm excited. Otherwise, yeah, that's all my updates. I'll let you know when something else happens. Okay, so last night I finished The Maid by Nita Prose, and it was a 2.5 star, rounded down to a 2 for me. I get what it was doing. I get why the author did what she did. I'm glad that she found her friends in the end, but it wasn't for me. It made me feel uncomfortable the whole time, kind of. And maybe that's just on me. Like, she was just showing what being autistic could be. But I just felt like it was, I don't know, awkward. And then at the end, it just didn't, the twist or whatever at the end didn't feel like it fit. It felt kind of strange for the characters involved. It just didn't match with their personalities, I felt like. But yeah, not my favorite. And then Stardust Thief, I've got here. I've got 90 pages left. That I think is going to be 4.5, probably rounded down to a 4, just because it's not a new all-time fave, but I do like it a lot. It's great. And I do plan to get the next book when it comes out. The characters, another little twist I didn't see coming there, but they are now coming to the end of their journey. We've definitely learned more about the Jinn and the different myths and way they interact here. One thing, I don't know, I think I've mentioned it before in this world, but the Jinn, their blood is life-giving. I mean, maybe I mentioned it, I don't know. So in this world, every time a Jinn is killed, their blood soaks the desert, and that is what creates life. So anytime you see any plants or any water or anything other than desert sand, it's because a Jinn died there. So it's a very morbid fact of this book. And in the main character's city, the Jinn blood is mostly kept in the wealthy areas or the palace. And in some other cities, they mentioned in this last city that they just got to, it's closest to the Jinn city, so there's obviously the most Jinn around. And there was a big standoff there between humans and Jinn, and it just, over and over, the characters talk about how every time they see these beautiful surroundings, it's both beautiful and tragic, just because every time you see something beautiful, you know that somebody, a Jinn, was murdered to have that be born. So I thought that was a really cool thing that they kind of built in. I don't know if that's a normal Jinn myth or if that's just something that Chelsea Abdullah added in, but I think that's kind of a cool little twist. A different section, vlog, day, whatever, I mentioned that it reminds me a lot of the Wrath of the Dawn book, and I'm almost positive that the king in this book is based off the same myth that the Wrath of the Dawn must be based off. I didn't know it was based off of myth, but it's the same thing where the king is killing his wife every single night, and there's a new wife every night, and then all of a sudden a storyteller comes and draws his eye, and he ends up not killing her, and then they fall in love. And I know that's what's happening. I never read the second book of The Wrath and Dawn. It's on my shelf. I need to get to it. Maybe I'll read the next now. But that's what it was happening in the first book of The Wrath of the Dawn, and that is, in this book, it's the king, and then most of the book centers around his kids. And so it would be the king's wife, second wife, I believe. Yeah, the second wife is the storyteller one. She's the mother of one of the kids that's in this book. So yeah, I think that's kind of interesting. Yeah. So I like the crossover between that. I like that I'm starting to read enough books that I'm starting to recognize these myths. I feel like in Western culture we know a lot more of the myths, or at least I do, about like mermaids and the Odyssey Greek myths and that kind of thing. But yeah, these Arab ones are interesting. So I don't know that I'll finish it tonight. It's possible, but I don't know that I will. I got my tea here. I think it's strawberry, hibiscus, and herbal tea. But yeah, so I'll read that. My husband will probably come down and watch some TV, but otherwise, that's the plan. Okay, so finishing up this vlog. My hair is crazy. Wow. I finished the Stardust Thief last night, and it was great. The end definitely brought it to a whole new, wider scope. The main characters, they all resolved their issues, kind of. I'm happy where it ended up. It wasn't exactly as I predicted, but I'm glad it ended up the way it did. There's definitely some new levels that we're discovering about Jinn magic. The Ifrits, they're called, the Jinn Kings. There were 7 of them in, I don't know if it's in the myth or just in the story, but in the story there's 7 Jinn Kings and the Ifrits, and we're definitely learning more about them and all their powers. And so that will definitely play a big role, I think, in the next book. And unfortunately, I looked it up, and the next book doesn't come out until fall of 2023. So that was a little bit depressing. I think what I had seen was they recently released the cover art for the next book. So I thought that was saying the next book is coming out soon, but it's just the cover art. It's a little tease. I liked it. I think I rated it 4.5, rounded up to 5 on Goodreads. It's definitely one of my favorite Middle Eastern fantasies that I've read so far, and yeah, can't wait to do the next book in the series. I think there's gonna be 3 books, maybe. yeah, see you next time. Bye.